Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Relentless show. It's a good day. It's going to be a good day. I can feel it. I can feel it. This one is going to be a good one. Because, well, it's UEFA Champions League, baby. We did it. We did it. Shout out to all the guys behind the scenes. Peter, Pastor B, Nico, and everyone who doubted us. Everyone who said that, yo, team ya kubebwa, team ya penalties, sijui nini. It's okay. Tunasema ushindi mtapata siku moja, hata kama ni sabuni ya ushindi. It's okay, it's allowed. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mark Safari. I'll be your host today. And I am honored to be hosting someone who's really amazing. Someone I look up to. Someone I've been friends with for such a long time. Almost as long as I can remember. But I'll let her introduce herself. And you'll get to meet her. And we're going to be talking about something very interesting today. So keep it here. Keep it 100% here. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. My name is Roslyn Wanjiru. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Pesabase, which is a tech startup. We focused on payments and remittances using emerging tech, that is blockchain. I'm an economist and focused especially on emerging tech because it's not just the future that we are talking about like 20 years from now.
Yeah.
It's rapid changes happening as we speak, because the day that you could use a text predictor on your phone, it should have told you, hey, things are changing. The time when we're talking about 5G debates and Internet of Things and artificial intelligence being like the next hugest economic driver, then that's where we are right now. It's not a thing for 20 years, it's right now. And for me as an economist, I'm very interested in, how can young people be able to plug into that? So just by, mentioning some of those things, that's a bit about me and what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Normally when I tell people to introduce themselves, I have to go with follow-up questions. I'm like, so what do you do? What else do you do? I love the way you just put it all out there. And I told you guys it's going to be a good one. Okay, sawa. So, okay, let's not assume.
Yeah.
But are you a born-again Christian?
Yep.
Okay, good. So how do you balance between that? Because obviously, clearly what you're talking about, you said like gazillion things that you do already so far. And that's only the introduction part. But how do you balance the life between this professional side and your Christianity, your salvation?
There's no scale between the two. And the reason is that if you want to talk about tech as a separate thing, then you're calling it, you want to treat it as secular. No, it's not.
Okay.
And the reason is why, because if you want to talk about Daniel or Joseph, ask them if they had a balance. Yeah, ask them if they had a balance, because everything that they were was a function of what, the faith that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no separation that I have to balance between this one on this side and this one on the other side. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're more like a Christian 24/7 in all that you do.
There's no pause.
There's no pause.
In this thing.
There's no, okay, yes, kando.
Like, there's no pause.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
pause. It's just one long thing.
Yeah, there's no pause.
I think that's very important to understand, because the young adult, the young professional, wants to, and unfortunately, the world is telling us, goals is getting rich quick. And we tend to think we need to do that. As long as we've allocated God his 1 hour, pale kwa BS, or quiet time, then we're good to go. I'm living a good Christian life. But I love the way you're bringing it out, that there's no pause. It's all out. It's okay, sawa.
Okay, here's the challenge.
Yeah.
Go study the life of Daniel.
Yeah.
Just study his life. Yeah, we can get back to this discussion after you study that.
Okay. Okay.
Because, I'd pick his example because he's someone who, whether you want to talk about it culturally, historically, someone who's living in, completely away from his home country.
Yeah.
You'd want to call him a refugee because does he have a state? You want to consider it in that sense. He's in captivity, 70 years. Someone who's in captivity typically you would say doesn't have the rights of a citizen. But this is someone living out his faith in a way that you'd say, wow, throw me to the land's den, threaten me with anything. Hey, it's cool, do your thing, I'm doing mine. I'm committed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Sawa. So we're going to be talking about a lot about technology today. And at the beginning, and I know it may sound like we're repeating this, but I believe it's very important for us to clarify. We even had, like, long a while ago, when all this social media started coming up and what, we know even preachers who stood on the pulpits and they were like, this thing is from the devil. Huyu ni shetani analeta. Facebook inafanya ndoa zinavunjika, sijui what.
Yeah.
But now, okay, of course, now clearly, with the lockdown and everything, we've all run back to it. We've all run back to technology, to depend on it, to of course, to run our services and do our day-to-day things. But what's your take on all that? What's your take on, is there even the slightest possibility that they could have been right in saying that?
Okay, here's the thing. Don't think of technology as a separate monster that you must control for others to understand in the first place. And again, we've found ourselves in so many instances across history, whether you want to talk about the medical field, agricultural, etc., whereby just because people didn't understand technology, they just felt it's completely wrong. Just because you don't understand something doesn't make it wrong in the first place. That's one. Secondly, is that a tool is a tool.
Yeah.
What you use it for is what matters. If we use these speakers for this talk versus someone else using it for a concert, the speakers are tools. They don't know what you're using them for.
Yeah.
Technology is the same. Social media is the same. They are tools. They are platforms, which is why back in the day you'd find banks or corporates not really there because they would expect you to show up at their offices, but they realize, hey, if I'm stuck in traffic, I'm going to my next meeting, and I need customer support to send money from my mobile phone. Do I want to show up at your bank or show up to my meeting? It's very easy for me to reach you on phone, via tweet, via text. We went from people having to queue in the banking halls for simple things that could have been sorted out by customer service to now, if you have an issue, guess where it goes? Twitter.
Yeah.
And the famous KOT will gladly support you. In fact, I too was not sorted out. I too had this problem. I too was, follow up and things like that. We've come from, a place where corporates are not really reachable to now them reaching out. So that's the change. You have to see where all these trends are coming in. And the thing is that the tech is a tool. It's very simply. It does not know what you're using it for.
Yeah.
So you're the one who gets to decide. And that's it. That if you don't use the tech for the right purpose, then it's you who's losing out. No one will have to tell you to learn the thing for its rightful use.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have all these concerns around data, privacy, should these tech magnates have the power that they have? All those questions are there. And they can be debated whether you want to talk about it from a governance angle, from a legal angle, or from an economic angle, whereby, should they pay taxes in their home country? Should we tax them on our home countries? Those are debates around different aspects of whether you want to talk about tax, governance, legal rights, and so on and so forth. But those are other debates. But the thing is that this tech is a tool. What people use it for is what really counts.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned you're in blockchain. Could you tell us, for someone at home, someone, assume they're like a 10-year-old, someone who has no idea what this is, how would you define blockchain and really the field you're in generally, in the simplest of terms?
All right, so a blockchain is a list, a very special kind of list. If you have a newspaper today, for example, you have on page 10 the same info on every paper that's out there, right?
Okay.
If I ask you, line 2 is the sentence starts with when we went or when it happened, it's the same line on every paper.
Yeah.
Now that's what exactly a blockchain is, because it's a history of transactions that's the same everywhere it's saved. But now, the difference between a blockchain and a traditional database or place where you keep info is that with a traditional database, you only have like one copy of that information, right? You have one admin, one system, and one place to store all that info, all your eggs in one basket, okay? And with a blockchain, it's the same info, but on distributed, storage. Okay. Distributed storage.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the same copy in different places. Like if I look at line 10, it's line 10 everywhere else. So the analogy that I will use for this demo is that all eggs in one basket versus your eggs in a couple of baskets.
Separate baskets. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
your same eggs, separate baskets. Same eggs from the same, maybe the same batch of chickens. Yeah, so just it's about how you store info.
Okay.
But the thing is that instead of all your eggs breaking in one basket, if your basket falls, you're happy that your eggs are in different
in
baskets.
different
Now
baskets.
your info is in different storage places, and you can't. Again, if you want to destroy the info in one, you haven't destroyed the info in the rest.
the rest.
So if you are dealing with records, whether it's health records, system, invoices, names, identities, and things like that, and you realize that's with every industry, it's literally that analogy. One basket versus multiple baskets. We have cases whereby in one organization, someone will just get access to your main system, steal info, steal money, steal very valuable things,
Yeah.
and walk away. Before
All
you
eggs in
find
one
out,
basket, yeah.
all eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You lose your billions, you cannot find them, you try, and even when you do, you realize that they've transferred that money several times before you even try and trace that. Now, at least there's a digital trail. Now with a blockchain, it's that you have several baskets. They cannot destroy all of them at once. That's the thing, and that's why it's such a huge, it's such a huge deal for multiple industries around the world. Whether you want to talk about government, private sector, supply chain, medical records, finance industry, all these parties have an interest in having, remember, the multiple baskets for
Yeah.
the eggs. And I use eggs because they're very fragile. I mean, this information is sensitive. It's worth protecting. It's worth a lot of, it's worth a lot of money, whether you want to consider it in a data sense or monetizable content sense. So every industry that has an interest in protecting its information, having information security, and trust within its dealings in an organization, whereby you don't want one set of people or group of admins kind of just tampering with the info and compromising or selling that data. We hear a lot about that nowadays. If you don't want that happening, then this is where the conversation around blockchain is coming in. There are already cases like Smart Dubai. There's Estonia, which have, I think, already implemented it in terms of identity, and there's Sierra Leone, which I think in 2018 or 19, they implemented blockchain for voting because that's one area you do not want info tampered with.
Yes.
So those are some of the examples. Shell, Maersk, quite a host of global companies already using it just to protect their info. And the thing is that you want trustless systems. Like, you don't want all this fraud with info being your downfall. Yeah. So those are some of the top use cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So the industry really in blockchain is just about people exploring distributed systems instead of centralized systems for information security and peer-to-peer value, because that's the other thing, that you get to transact on a peer-to-peer system. It's faster, more secure, safer, and boom, we are in the next level of transacting a lot faster than before. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting because listening to you giving all these examples and describing it, it's almost inevitable that the whole world is going to get there, right? I know probably we haven't really realized it as much as we'd like to, like in African countries, more so in Kenya. But it's something that's coming. It's something that we'll get to. So my question would be, for a young adult, is it like a wise investment someone can make in delving into the whole blockchain thing? And if it is, what are some of the opportunities that may be there for the young adult here? I'm talking young adult, average age, say 20, no, even 18. Let's not even put an age on it. But what opportunities are there for me now? I have realized this is coming, this is the future. We're going to get here eventually, and I don't want to be left behind or even want to benefit from it. What do I do? What are some of the areas I can explore?
All right. First up, just a fun start. The median age in Africa is 19.4.
19.4.
Yes. Means half of us are literally teens.
Wow. Okay. 19 is average age.
So that means
Okay.
a lot of guys are not yet in campus or in campus. Okay? And the thing is that you're looking at your degree as your key to employment. Education is the key to success. Now, you hear about education as a key to success, but then so many guys are unemployed because you either tarmac for I don't know how long, try a side hustle, try jobs that you didn't even study for, and that's where we are at with so many people just not even aware of what they should start doing, right? So within the blockchain industry, it being so new and there being a lot of interest in terms of research, first of all, don't look at it as a blockchain thing.
Okay.
Let me clarify that. A blockchain is basically like a part of the internet. Now, you will hear a lot of conversations if you read about it, like Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is that over the internet previously you could, like copy paste info, text, send video, send audio, and things like that. But now with blockchain, it's that you can add a layer whereby we can trace who this belongs to. We can prove ownership now. You just don't copy paste things like money or land titles and things like that. So think about this as the next, like, how do I say, layer of the internet.
Okay.
Because it's such a fundamental thing whereby guys will build apps on this that could not be built previously without this technology being there. If you want to think about the internet like like a puzzle, there are different pieces. So there was voice over internet whereby we could, talk over. You could talk over digital whatever infrastructure. Then there was text. Then there was all these other things that we're able to do right now. But with blockchain, is literally a piece of the puzzle. Okay, so if you have a complete puzzle, then that means you'll be able to see things that you couldn't see before. And in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to have a lot of apps that are using this tech in one way or another. So much so that we won't be talking about, I'm building on a blockchain, or this blockchain thing. Just like now, net, you're either online or offline, right? So blockchain being like a part of that, it's just that you're building on something that you don't necessarily always talk about. It's the same thing with a house. You have the foundation, you don't always talk about, I've built on the foundation. You have a house, you have rooms.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want guys to, from this discussion, don't think about blockchain as something so complicated that you don't understand. There's cryptography, there's all these other mathematical things.
Yeah,
and,
because that can be a challenge.
algorithms. Yes, they're complicated. If you're in the software space, think about building on, and this is just purely technical, just platforms like Ethereum. You're going to learn programming languages like C++, Solidity, Java. That's for programmers, okay?
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so if you're not a programmer, don't sweat this out. Just, if you're thinking about this in a business sense, think about what apps or what platforms need security of info, which kind of business models allow peer-to-peer transfer of value. That's the question, okay? And the investment that someone needs to make is actually in terms of learning and time, because if you're working on a blockchain kind of project, now project being company building an application, it's that you just need to learn how the industry is, and with just a bit of skill, whether you want to learn from 3 months to, whether you want to learn from a month to 3 months, you can become an article writer, community builder, you can become a software developer, you can become a marketer, researcher. All these jobs are literally there. So it's for someone just to put in the time. 3 months, you're good to go. There are so many projects that are offering remote work. And again, for people who wonder what is remote work, it's that you can work from home or at least wherever it is you're based, as long as you have an internet connection, right? And this is part of the future of work, whereby you do not need to report to an office to perform your work targets and your KPIs. That is your
Your KPIs.
Sorry, your key performance indicators.
Okay, wow. Sawa. Tupeleke pole pole.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So the thing is that you
uh-huh.
don't need to report to an office
Yes.
to show that you're working. It's that if we agree that we're going to do X and Y within 3 months, in the 3 months we should have finished X and Y and
Yes.
shown me that this is what you have delivered, and you will be paid based on what you've accomplished. Okay, so that's the future of work, that it's task-based,
Yes.
not just that you show up on an office and that's how a lot of people are gonna take the switch. So there are so many remote jobs within blockchain, and not just blockchain, but whether you want to talk about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and robotics, whereby for some jobs, honestly, after the pandemic, they're not going to be back the way they were before. Whether you want to talk about e-commerce, remote commerce, and drop shipping and all that, how we transact for the next few years, we're not going to go back to how things were before very fast. And the thing is that how do we adjust in a world that's increasingly tech integrated?
Yeah.
So that's the question that someone needs. Don't rush to put money anywhere. In fact, don't put your money in anything that tells you, oh, we give you returns weekly, give you this percentage daily. Please don't do that to yourself.
Because there's a lot of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to put it out there, like, don't rush to put your money in something that you don't understand. Because if you want to build wealth, give yourself time. You need the discipline. If you don't know how to budget, you don't know how to protect your wealth, don't know how to, put in place like things like insurance, things like budgeting, things like an emergency fund, don't try to get rich quick. That's the thing. If you found a scheme that can do that for you and you have your exit plan, make your money in peace. Don't try to drag others along with you. The thing is that there's no magic bullet. I think we've seen so many success stories, of course, of guys who, rose overnight.
Yeah.
But the truth is that if you don't know what this person did behind the scenes, don't try to copy them.
Yeah.
Just for your own peace of mind. Just hustle in peace.
Do your own thing.
It doesn't reduce you in any way whatsoever. Just run at your pace. If you don't get it, it's fine. Just take your time. Take your own process in terms of developing sustainable wealth, because you don't want to be all hyped one day, the next you can't even pay your bills.
Yeah.
Or creditors are at your door. Debt is already you're up to your neck in debt.
Yeah.
Nah, I think we need a very healthy conversation around just managing a healthy financial life. Yeah, because it's not about shooting up and then you're always high. You cannot be on a perpetual high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the fact.
There's something I saw. I've tried not to ask this question, but there's something I saw. You were rated among Africa's top 10 women in blockchain. Could you just tell us how you got to achieve that? Like, I know everybody wants to know about that. How do I get to that point? How do I get to, it's a big thing.
It's big. I mean, one of the statistics that I came across is that there's the percentage of women participating in blockchain specifically, and not just cryptocurrencies, is between 3 and 10%. It's very, very low. But the thing is that we're looking at how can we increase this number? How do we get more women involved? It's not just in tech, because whether you want to talk about the representation of women in tech being, between 30 and 40%, it just tells you that there aren't enough women being involved. So the question is it a question of increasing the work environment, bridging the wage gap, creating a safer and a more holistic work environment and things like that? So there are all these conversations going around, definitely. But even in terms of diversity, we are few. That's the point.
Okay.
We are few. But for me personally, I've been involved in research for the last 3 years. I've been to a couple of international platforms, Rwanda, UG, Nigeria, and New York, and guys are like, what's she talking about? I think she's saying something sensible. So that's how we kind of got there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have to appreciate, of course, the communities that have both invited me to speak or share, train, and there's so many that I could mention, whether in just Nigeria, Kenya, and all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Crypto TV Plus, there's Africa Blockchain Institute, Government Blockchain Association, Bitcoin Kenya. There's a Blockchain Association of Kenya. Definitely. I mean, there's so many amazing communities. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an ongoing work.
It's an ongoing work.
Because again, the other thing is that I'm not just talking about blockchain and cryptocurrencies as guys, for awareness. I'm also trying to create first of all just a safer discussion space whereby guys can see, don't get harassed by all these scams that are there. Of course, there's so many scams that have happened and people have lost money, which is very painful in the name of Bitcoin. And okay, because Bitcoin itself is not a scam. It's just that people use the name of Bitcoin to tell you, hey, this thing went from $1 to like $10,000, and they make you feel like you're missing out. And they tell you that this is the next biggest thing, so like put your money here and forget it, you'll earn returns
and
daily.
they'll just blindly do it.
They're blinding you with that. That's a fact. And if you don't realize that there's a technological revolution going on, that's the bigger picture. Which is why I even said in terms of careers, like, guys, don't look at investing something that you put out. This is a whole new discussion altogether. So new skills will be learnt.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need a degree or a certificate or a diploma to get a blockchain-based job right now. It's really your, traditional, so to speak, career path and skill set, and just pivoting with a kind of view to incorporate tech in your work. So for some, it might feel like it's a very huge learning curve, but you might realize that it's not that big a learning curve. You're just pivoting a few things and incorporating some more things into your work. So it doesn't need to be that complicated. The fact is that we hear a lot about disruption, we hear a lot about the next wave of order all around the world, and you're thinking, this is too big for me. No, just need to break it down, and within just 3 months of learning, you'll be able to identify, okay, do I want to get new skill sets? Do I want a completely new career? Or, do I just want to do some of these tasks part-time? Because that's also an option. Like, yeah, there are people who work part-time, build communities, and in their own way, they are profiting from these new technologies. So the thing is that for some people, it's that it might take a year, for some it's 5 years, for some it's 10 years, still okay. With the internet revolution, with what we've seen in the last 20 years, there was a dot-com boom and crash whereby guys were thinking, anything internet is the way to go. And the hype was there, scams were there.
Yeah.
People hated the internet for that reason, and they thought, no, internet is for criminals, internet is for hijackers, internet is for kidnappers, internet is for this, for that. But you realize that was just 1%. You hear about the darknet whereby there's all kinds of, malice being done and things being sold, and you're like, no, I don't think I want to use the internet. But you miss the point. There's a revolution of all these tools coming in. But the thing is that if you can't see into the future, then you can't, okay, of course you can't see everything about the future, but the thing is, ask yourself, where is the future of value going? How are companies going to transact? God forbid if the pandemic lasts for another 3 years,
Yeah.
How are we going to live? We can't just stay stuck. The thing is that you just have to ask yourself, what is the next step in terms of value? What's the next step in terms of our transactions? How do we keep our stocks safe if you're in the financial industry? How do we keep some of these transactions alive with restrictions in place? Because I think if there's anything that the pandemic has taught us is you can't have all your eggs in one basket. You need a bit of a balanced approach, not just to your work but even income, because I think we've moved from the era of job security to income security. The thing is that you might have your job for however many 20 years,
Yeah.
but should something major happen that's not in your control and you're no longer relevant to the workspace, what happens? Are you looking at yourself sleeping at night out in the streets?
Mm-hmm.
No, you need something else that's going to bring you income at least sustainably, so that you're not worried about sleeping out in the night. And that's the thing. The move from job security to income security is going to be enabled by some of these technological options. So the thing is that guys just need to ask, where is the future of value?
Yeah.
That's the bigger picture. If you miss that, then all this technological jargon won't help you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is the future of value?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. This one is entirely out of curiosity. You mentioned you're an what?
Economist.
Economist.
That one.
Economist. That's
That
the
one.
word I was looking for. So you studied economy,
Yeah.
right? So how do you end up in this field? How? After after econ, probably go work for some firm or the government or whatever. How do you end up in this?
All right. I've been, I think, naturally curious
Yeah.
for a good chunk of my life. But I always had a either concept / idea / dream around internet safety. And I think about we hear about all these dangerous things on the internet. And my question was, how do we make sure we're safe on the internet or with the internet? Because you hear stories about children being groomed. And by groomed, I mean usually an adult or, I don't even know which term to use because that's usually so horrible. They tell this child, they isolate them, they tell them all the sweet things that they want to hear, and they make it seem like they're the only ones who will ever do this for that kid. And this kid tends to think that, this is the only person who understands me, this is the only person who gets me. months, they can be speaking for months before they even request this person to meet, this kid to meet, and this kid feels like I owe it to this person because they've treated me so well, you know.
Yeah.
And you think, how do you create a safe environment? Do you educate the kid? Do you do you prosecute more heavily the perpetrators and offenders and things like that? Anyway, so I used to ask myself, how do we ensure internet safety? So that question just kept running in my mind year in, year out, even before I went to campus or anything. So in campus, of course, learning journey, economics, or finance, policy, I realized I could have a couple of options, whether it's in policy research or my interest wasn't particularly in like finance or accounting. So after graduating, my first major internship was in project management, and after that, I just kept asking myself, okay, at the time there were so many layoffs with banks, branches going digital, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to work in a bank for now. So like, those career prospects are not that high. Did my side hustle in editing, of course, got exposed to the world of freelance work. I was like, okay, I think I can try this. Then conversations at the time also around like, what's the future, again, of jobs? So in learning a lot about the future of jobs from the World Economic Forum, at the time, there were so many conversations also with I think of World Bank as well, but I would read a lot from the World Economic Forum. It would talk about the discussions were on the future of work. And from that, I was like, whoa, there's a future of work. And with the future of work, there's fourth industrial revolution that you learn about. That's basically cyber physical systems becoming really, whether you want to talk about agriculture, healthcare, telemedicine, drones, for military, drones for search and rescue. I was like, whoa, this is a lot of info. This is a lot of things going on. So like, where do I start? And I was like, there's data science. And I'm like, okay, data science is very close to economics. I was like, why didn't we learn data science when I was doing economics? Anyway, I was like, let me research, because I was like, okay, if the future of value is being driven by data, then let me understand how to use data to create value. And I was like, okay, cool. This is my starting point. And I thought, let me do a master's in data science. Yay. So in looking for my would-be thesis, and I say would-be because I didn't do it, is that I came across a statistic that due to cyber threats and cybersecurity losses, there was a gross global loss of about $1 trillion. I was like, wait, $1 trillion gone in just a year. How much is that in terms of our budget? Convert the equivalent of 30 years lost in 1 year. I'm like, guys, why aren't we talking about this? This is a very big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me do my research because I think I can, if I do my master's, I can get a job in this. So I was looking at either a master's or a job that's entry level in data science because I felt, I'm going to get to work in this. Then things didn't go as I thought, but along the way I picked up skill in software development with like Python, and I was like, I can build apps now. But my research, I realized that I needed to focus more on the research in terms of some of the key focus areas within like the adoption of blockchain. Why is it better than traditional systems? Whether governments also need to like offer protections for companies that are dealing with that emerging tech. Like how do you create bridges between future tech and current systems, because there's a very huge gap, And one of the things that really got me at the time was that I got an opportunity to volunteer with a startup that was focusing on like parallels between blockchain and M-Pesa, and I thought, if guys can understand M-Pesa, then they can actually, get blockchain, and that's how it started for me. Like, one opportunity after another came in, either to speak, to train, and just based on my research, I was like, I'm gonna go on with this, and here we are today.
Okay.
From volunteer to CMO in like
wow.
a year.
In like a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, like, based on that, I mean, one of the hugest things that I've seen for particularly Kenya, there was the task force set in place by the government on distributed ledger technologies and AI, and they recommended some there's a report called Blockchain Kenya. If you want to Google that, right off the Ministry of ICT page, they've given amazing recommendations for how Kenya can use that. So that in itself is literally a green light for guys to innovate. Companies, whether you want to talk about private sector, PPPs, that private public and private sector partnerships. And again, there was a Capital Markets Authority created a sandbox whereby there was at least 3 companies that are pioneering in terms of using emerging technologies for capital markets products. So you can see that this is not a guesswork anymore.
Yeah.
This is something that's actually just it's in the baby steps, if you want to call it that, but it's already a huge step that there would be a regulatory sandbox, and this is just kind of just part of what's going on around the world. What do you want to talk about? Singapore, China, in Europe as well, the US, there are regulatory green lights that are being given out, whether you want to consider digital currencies as financial products or whatever, but of course protecting against anti-money laundering and all that. But with the regulatory green lights, then it's easier for companies to kind of see the path that they can take to adopt and offer their products globally. So yeah, that's where we are at.
Okay, that's where we are now.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I think what I'm really getting is that you found your calling. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you to pray for guys, for people out there to find their calling. But I think before we get to that point and before we end the show, I think it's only fair we ask how I'm a person at home. I have no idea what to do. I'm so interested in blockchain. Is there a way I can reach you for help? Or is there any way you can direct me to get access to help and more information on this?
All right, so I share a lot on Twitter. So Rosalind, okay, Miss Twitter. On Twitter, I'm Rosalind Miss Blockchain.
What?
Miss Blockchain.
Okay. Wow.
On Twitter, I mean, I share a lot about either developments in AI, robotics, and blockchain, because for me, the interest actually just came because I realized that there are not many people talking about that, and sometimes I personally may not understand everything that's that's there to understand on a technical level about AI, blockchain, and all that, but I don't have to get the exact use of this technology to be able to share it as an idea to someone, because you realize that as a person, you might, yes, as you're saying, you're seated at home, don't know what to do, just be open to these ideas, okay? You don't have to understand everything, because as I think even as we were starting out, just because you don't understand something doesn't mean that it's wrong, you know, or it's bad, or it's negative, whatever. The thing is that you just need to be open-minded in a way that you can see. If, for instance, people are using 3D imaging to map out blood vessels, then it means I can use the same 3D imaging for, maybe for animal testing and plant testing and things like that, and I can pick out all these diseases that wipe out, because if you're in chicken farming and then just one bug wipes out all your birds, it's headache. But if you can use tech to take care of your birds better, then why not?
Why not?
I mean, stop your losses, man. Take care of your birds. So just the first thing is be open to read some of these things. Okay, if you don't have to understand everything, just get the main idea. Because I think even how we read and interact with information needs to shift heavily from the 844 kind of mindset. Not that I'm not by any means,
okay.
but the illiterate of the 21st century will be those who cannot learn and relearn. So you need to be able to learn what you need to unlearn and relearn, because just because you didn't study IT or tech doesn't mean that you can't appreciate it. You can get ideas, and it starts with that. Once you get your idea, then apply it to something that matters to you, works for you, whatever. Because for me, yes, it was in economics, but finding my voice, my career passion in the tech space was that it's more of a journey of growth. It doesn't mean that this is my last stop. It's a journey of becoming and growing and I would say evolving from one stage to the other. Because like in the last 3 years, I've done, I've focused on blockchain, internet adoption in Africa, why we are mobile first and things like that, and just understanding like the nexus of policy, governance, and all these opportunities. So yes, I've talked a lot about that, but that's just a bit on Twitter. So I share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram. You want to connect, then Rosalind Nigeria across all those.
None of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. I'll ask you to pray for us now. Pray for us that we may find our calling, and that we may tap this anointing of success at very young ages. Yani,
All right, I think one more thing I'll say is
Yeah.
that just because you haven't figured out your, your passion or your, how do I say, your calling in one line or another, it's a journey.
Yeah.
Again, okay. Don't think about it like I need to be big, I need to be out there, I need to be doing stuff before you figure out your calling. It might be the things that you care about, things that you're passionate about. I mean, for someone like I like to give this example. If you go to a children's home right now, an architect will see, no, this building isn't safe according to safety standards and all that stuff. That's safe. How do I call them? Safety standard. Okay, someone who's in the field of safety standards
Yeah.
is going to look at that and say, this is not safe. This is not safe.
Yeah.
It needs to be redesigned this way. An architect will see, no, this design can be different. An engineer will see, this isn't right. That isn't right. Someone who's in nutrition will see, are these kids eating right? Someone who's in development mentorship will ask, what are these kids learning? What skills are they getting? Someone else will ask, someone who's in health, you'll see, are these kids really healthy? Can they get checks? Can they get insurance? Can they get protection so that they're not, so frequently sick? And this is just one example. We are standing in a children's home, but all these people are seeing different things.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you go to a children's home to figure out what you want.
What you're calling is.
But if you can see the things that tend to disturb you and make you ask, like, what can I do about it, then that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I think we've asked so many times, what are my talents? I don't have talents. What are my skills? I don't have skills. Sit down and write what bothers you. Okay? It's a very simple question. Okay, what hurts you? What makes you angry?
Yeah.
What makes you feel like I should really do something different about this? Or I can recommend someone to do this if I don't have the ability, time, or skill to do that, Because those are three things that, of course, in terms of a solution, ability, time, and skill. You might have the ability, not the time. You might have the time, but not the skill. Because you might be able to go to the same children's home, donate clothes, and then go back home.
Yeah.
But you feel, no, that's not enough. Are you going to take, for instance, early childhood development course and come back and give better to those kids?
Yeah.
Now that's where we talk about skill.
Yeah.
So that's just a very simple example. But the question is, when you step out of that door, when you leave the house, what really constantly runs in your mind?
Yeah.
Because it's not the same for everybody. And that's a wider question, definitely, so that you're not saying, oh, I don't have talent. No, develop the skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to come back to skill. Even if you don't have the degrees to do it, that again comes back to the world of business. Like, you might not be the best professional in terms of finance, but that doesn't stop you from starting a financial services-based company, because that's where you open up your organization. You register because you're the visionary, and then bring the CFAs, bring the
Yeah.
MBAs, bring the guys who are more competent than you to build this thing, because you have the vision. Maybe you're the visionary. You don't have to do everything. So there are those who, I think we just need to understand the balance and the difference between you being the person who has the idea and getting now the people who will be able to support that, because there are those who have the ability but not the vision. There are those who have the skill but not the will to do it. There are those who have the, all the qualifications that you can ever dream up, but you don't have the time for, and they don't have the platform to do it, because they might be stuck in a job. And I think this is the headache of so many people who are working right now, that you're in a work environment and you don't feel fulfilled, because you're getting your income, you're getting your salary or your paycheck and your payouts, but you don't feel like you're doing enough, or you feel like your work is not appreciated. And it's a very huge headache for so many guys. So you end up resigned like, as long as I'm paying my bills, I'm good. But deep down inside, it just keeps on junking at you, and you feel like, there's something for me out there. Now, maybe you're the one to create that space for those guys.
Yeah.
So, and that's the beauty of the world that we're in. You might be just the guy to give the ideas, and that's fine. Stick as the ideator and learn how to, be the vision bearer, be the leader. Develop your capacity in leadership, and just learn to play well with others, so that you don't try to do everything.
Yeah.
Because no one enjoys micromanaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So we can conclude that.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
all. Thank you so much. That's a new way to look at things. It's a new perspective. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So.
All right, so let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this session that we've had today. A lot has been said, but I pray that for someone who's seated at home and just listening to this, that you'll give them clarity, peace of mind, and just the peace to be able to decide what to go after, the peace to decide what to go for, and the courage to step out, Lord. I know there's so many people who are sitting and just wondering, where do I start? And I ask that you give them courage just to begin with what they have, because they don't need more than they have. If Moses had the staff alone and he told you enough times, I didn't want to speak, but you told him that you are the one who makes his mouth, you're the one who gives him the ability to speak. I pray that you will show enough people who are listening today what they have in their hand. If they need to start with their phone, let them start with their phone. Create that social media channel, or start that blog, or just start somewhere. But show everyone who's listening today, which is my prayer, that they can start with nothing and from nowhere, because you are more than enough. You've given them everything that they need. Give them the peace of heart, the courage of mind to start. That's all that I pray for today. And we believe and trust that enough will step out there in their calling. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. So thank you so much for coming. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. It's been a good one. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Yeah. Until next time, God bless you.
Hello. Thank you so much for interacting with our social media content. Maybe you're there looking for a church, or you gained interest about our church and you'd like to join and become a member of the church. We want you to send your phone number and your name to our WhatsApp line. We'll get in touch with you and show you how you can be a member of this amazing church. Let's change the world together.